All right, welcome
Hey.
MixTape and Twisted Kid fans. I'm Jason Emmett,
I'm Casey Masterpiece.
And I'm Twisted Kid Matt.
and none of us were muted, so it's a miracle.
Hell yeah.
Hey, we're here with a brand new MixTape podcast, Twisted Kid edition. Only now we're doing it in both audio and video. I'd say you have to look at our ugly faces, but I hide mine behind a microphone, and Matt hides his behind a big beard. You don't hide yours at all, Casey.
No,
He hides it
He's
behind
out
a
there.
slide
This is
whistle.
what
He's out there for the world to see. Yeah, that's right. We're here, man. We're here with our first YouTube Twisted Kid edition. If you're listening to the podcast, you can always go check out the YouTube channel. The link is on our website. You can also it'll be on our Twitter. It'll be on our Mastodon. That's right. We're on Mastodon now. You should go over and join us on Mastodon. It's a lot like Twitter, only assholes don't run it. We're on Facebook and Instagram. And yes, we do have all of those things, so you should go over and check all of those out. We talked a lot, the three of us, about what our first film would be to do the YouTube video Twisted Kid edition. And it was Matt's selection, so we decided together, actually Matt decided, but we decided together as a group that Killer Klowns from Outer Space would be great. And I mean, I can't disagree.
Yep.
I believe that I've seen this before. Matt, you're a huge fan of this movie, right? So you watched it a lot as a kid.
I mean, I got this guy. I bought it. I paid for it.
Not just as a prop for this. He
No,
bought it 'cause
that's
he-
just to be in my house.
Yeah.
You can't see all the hair and everything because it's green screened out. But yeah, this, and I also have not plugged it in, but it's an animatronic. It dances around and makes weird clown noises. So I'm sure it's going to scare the shit out of me one night whenever I
Yeah,
come
especially when it's
downstairs.
holding a knife.
Yeah.
Over your
Standing
bed.
over-
The
standing over your
arms
bed.
move. I can actually swap out the arms, and it'll have boxing glove arms.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Which we'll
yeah,
get
it's
to.
pretty
That
fun.
is awesome.
Yeah,
And
it's
Kev, you-
it's motion activated too, so it will terrify
this-
me one night.
Was this your first time seeing the movie, Kev?
Yes, it was my very first time seeing Killer Clowns. I've seen bits and pieces over the years, but yeah, this is my first time watching the full movie, and actually, I was entertained.
It is a fairly entertaining movie, to say the least. So we'll get into it. We'll do a quick synopsis, and then we're gonna hit up a couple different points or parts about the movie, and we're gonna give our opinions on it as only we can. We're probably gonna be a little stiff because this is our first time doing this, and we're all a little stiff our first time.
Yeah,
You know
Kevin.
So I'll give a quick synopsis because really
a lot of visual jokes in this, by the way. So if you're listening in the audio version, come check it out, and you can see me cutting to Kevin whenever we talked about being stiff.
Thanks.
You're welcome. The creepiest line.
That's a slide whistle moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go.
So let me give a little background on
ready
the
to
movie,
cut.
and we'll give a little synopsis on the movie. This movie's written, directed, and produced. How do you say it? The Chiodo Brothers.
Chiodo Brothers. Yeah.
Chiodo Brothers. It stars Grant Kramer, Susan Snyder, John Allen Nelson, and John Vernon. It's also Christopher Titus's first film. Christopher Titus is in this movie. It's the only movie ever written and directed by the Chiodo Brothers, who also created all the practical effects and a lot of and some of the makeup effects in the movie, but not all. They were actually like makeup artists before they did this film. And this is the only movie they ever did. So I don't know why. I think that it's a extremely competent first movie out. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
especially considering this is 1988. So this movie really hits perfect at the time. This movie is very reminiscent of The Blob. The opening scene is straight up The Blob. So kind of keep that in mind. Like the opening scene is absolutely cribbed off The Blob, right? That had to be the intention of it. And it's almost like this movie's almost like a weird, goofier retelling of The Blob, only with clowns instead of a creature that eats your flesh.
Yeah.
Although they do a little bit of that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a really quick synopsis, man. There's a couple out on Lover's Lane. They see a flash in the sky. They go out to see what it is. There's a weird looking circus tent thing. Well, first an old man goes out to see what it is, and there's a weird circus tent kind of thing out there, and they figure out, they go in, find out it's not really a circus tent. It's apparently a UFO with clown creatures in it, and they go back to try to warn the town, and then the clowns come and wreak havoc through the. I mean, that's really the plot of this movie, right? There's not much
Pretty
more
much,
plot than that. That's
Yeah.
really
And I
it.
mean, it's been said about this that it's basically like an effects reel of just like to kind of prove like that they could do really cool effects. Which I would say that the Chiodo Brothers are more known for their effects work than for even Killer
Sure.
Klowns.
Yeah.
But this is by far, like, to me, their most well-known thing. So,
Matt, you were talking about them being effects artists, and we were talking about the opening scene of this movie, and when our main couple go into the spaceship, like, I like the aesthetic of the interior of the spaceship. Like, it gets that whole like creepy kind of carnival circus vibe inside the ship, but still gives you that kind of like futuristic sci-fi spaceship
had a
thing.
lot of Tim Burton, Pee-wee's Playhouse vibes going on for it. I was digging it.
yeah.
And
I want to decorate my apartment the same way.
Yeah.
I think you should. I think that's a really good idea. And there's definitely like a Star Wars vibe thing going on.
They were heavily influenced by Star Wars in this.
The one scene kind of
Just that one scene. Yeah.
kind of had to be. So it's pretty early on. Like right at the beginning, they find the giant cotton candy like cocoon looking things. So anyway, and we kind of learn like what's going on. Well, I mean, we don't really know what's going on, but we get to see these giant cocoons, and they like pull one aside, and we get to see that. So there's parts of this movie that take a while to kind of understand what's going on, but it's like cotton candy, and and sweet and cold, and then I want to see your Tootsie Roll. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. No, they like rip the cotton candy back, and we see like flesh melting underneath it, right? It's sweet and low, not sweet and cold. I fucked up the lyrics, but we're gonna move on from that.
I wouldn't gotta call it out. That was genius.
That was perfect, man.
Yeah.
They pull back though, and we see like flesh, like it's almost like eating away at the flesh, and it's not till later in the movie that you kind of figure out what's happening. Like you don't even really know why the clowns are here at first, and they never just flat out tell you. But they kind of hint at it, sort of, kind of.
You kind of figure it out over time of like they're hungry.
They're hungry, right?
They're here to eat everybody. Because I mean, the cotton candy they put them in there. Yeah, like you got the one clown that sticks the most crazy of crazy straws into the cotton candy cocoon and just
it's almost like a wacky straw.
Yeah, and just drinks all the liquid that the cotton candy is dissolved onto everybody, or dissolved people into rather. So, which
just gonna
that was weird.
Yeah,
that was bizarre.
I try to add visuals to the show.
Yeah.
So what's weird though is like we get to see like right at the beginning. So this strikes me as weird later. So right at the beginning, they chase. So one of the clowns chases them out, right, and he uses this popcorn gun, right, which. As I read, is like the most expensive prop in the entire movie.
And it was an actual popcorn firing gun, like that they built.
So what's weird about that, though, is it shoots popcorn all over them, and they get out and run out. We learn later that that's like clown larva. Like that creates little baby clowns. So they're just shooting their baby. It's kind of gross when you think about shooting their load all over them.
Clown semen.
I bet it tastes funny. Clowns.
I will say,
yeah,
they don't. We get the clowns pretty early on, and they look great. Like they really do look really good.
Yeah.
Like obviously they have limited movement in their face and stuff, so they don't. We get a lot of noises like overdubbed. We get some face movement stuff, but it kind of works with the aesthetic of the film anyway. It didn't really bother me at all. It's kind of what's fun about it is that like we get the clowns. I don't know. They're sort of silly through the whole thing, and we don't really know why. Like, are we supposed to believe that they are in fact killer clowns? Or are we supposed to believe they were aliens that for some reason took the shape and characteristics of clown? We don't really know. I don't think it's really that important.
I like to think it was a precursor to It, and they're just shapeshifters.
Well,
they
actually,
do have the cotton candies, therefore kind of like a little bit of a spider web situation, which you do find it all over the cars at the beginning of the movie, like giant spider webs everywhere. So.
You know, you say that, but this movie came out, 4 years after It? So
I think
I'm sure.
the TV movie for It was 1990, so this was actually before It came out.
Man.
Oh, you're talking about the book?
Yeah, the novelization.
I don't read. Totally not true. I have a crap load of Stephen King books.
I'm
haven't read
sure
them all.
that it had to have influenced this film, right?
Oh, it had to.
Oh yeah.
So the clowns, like I said, they look fantastic in my opinion. Again, doing some research online, they made 4 molds, I guess, essentially 4 clown molds, and that's what they then used all those molds to make. 2 versions of each clown is what I read, and obviously there are more clowns. We have the main clowns in the movie, but then there's more that kind of creep throughout. I also read that and it's true because I looked it up. I went and looked at them. They used masks from those molds to make the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yep.
1991. So if you go look at that, you can see the similarities in the two, which is really crazy.
Yeah. It changed a few things here and there, but it's
sure
kind of the same.
So let's talk about some of the
which, by the way, that's got to be on this list at some point in time too.
Oh, I love Ernest Scared Stupid. The movie cracks me up still to this day. That's 1991.
We just do a whole series of Ernest movies.
Oh,
he made 30 of them? Yeah, probably.
Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to Jail, Scared Stupid.
Yeah, Ernest Goes to the Army, Ernest Goes to the Playboy Mansion.
Ernest Does Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on and on.
Ernest meets Medea.
Yeah.
They probably would have if he was still alive.
Big Fat Greek Wedding. Yeah.
Ernest in the traveling pants. Yes.
So I'm dying to talk about some of the characters in this movie, and one in particular, dude, Curtis Mooney, Officer Mooney.
Yes. Played by the great John Vernon.
Yeah.
Yes, but were we all waiting for this dick to die?
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, when he does, that is one of the only, to me, genuinely scary parts of this movie. The rest of it's just fun.
Yes.
But that part is actually scary.
There are 2 creepy scenes in this movie. Most of this movie is goofy and silly.
Right.
And you don't really take it. Matt, you've talked a lot on the podcast. You've said what are good entryway scary movies for younger audiences, and we talk a lot about Gremlins, and Killer Klowns is probably, and really the language isn't that. I mean, there's some cussing.
It's really not bad. Mm-hmm. There's some that bad. There's some innuendo, especially with the girls the girls in the ice cream truck with the popsicles.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. Even the gore isn't over the top for this
really
movie.
Not. Much better melting scenes than Street Trash. I said that.
No rape.
That's not true. It's different.
No rape. Always a plus.
Yeah, there's no clown rape anywhere. That's a good thing. Right? Yeah. Oh my God, I'd be traumatized.
It might keep you away from cotton candy, but other than that.
Which, by the way, hey everybody who's listening to and or watching this, sorry if you got coulrophobia. There's clowns everywhere in this movie, but you should also avoid this movie if you don't like clowns.
But that's what I mean. The clowns in this movie are goofy and fun enough that while they're creepy, they're also kind of silly.
Yeah,
and they really play into that in the film. That's one of the things that's really fun about it. They play into the whole goofiness of the idea, right?
Literally everyone underestimates them the entire time until they find out that they are a genuine threat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they're showing up all over the place and everybody's laughing and giggling at them. There's so this movie is made up of a thin plot and some really iconic scenes that everybody that's seen it remembers, right? So we obviously have. I remember the whole time I was like, I remember the scene with the shadow puppet T-Rex. Yeah. Of course, when it comes up, I was like, there it is.
Yep.
So we obviously have the iconic the puppet theater scene.
Yep.
Where he shoots the guy, and that one's not that exciting, really.
Yeah, and as I was telling Jay, you can actually buy those hand puppets at Spirit Halloween. So that may be something I get in the future, and I could possibly add them on to this guy.
So back in 2021, Spirit Halloween did a whole Killer Clowns from Outer Space like themed, like whatever, like display and everything. And I know that's where you went this year because they still had a bunch of that stuff, which is really cool.
I actually this guy was the last one that they had in the store on Halloween, and actually that's when I actually got it. But no, they have, and they still do from year to year. They started merchandising the hell out of this movie, which
merchandising.
Killer Clowns the lunchbox, which is actually a thing that they had as a Killer Clowns lunchbox.
And they have a Killer Clowns the doll. So
they do. And it seeing Spirit Halloween take this and just kind of run with it made the like 10-year-old version of me just lose my mind, even though I'm 41 and walking around Spirit Halloween going, I want that, I want that, I want that. And now that I am an adult and I have no children, I can buy things like that and keep them in my basement.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm an adult.
You don't have any kids. Oh, sorry.
Scare the shit out of them.
Nothing's going to scare anybody.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
I'm an adult and have kids, and I still buy dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
I just can't buy as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that the movie plays into a lot of the silliness. It really does too. That we talk. There's the boxing. You said the boxing mitts scene.
Yeah.
Because you said you could change his hands out.
Yeah.
And that scene is okay. I think that, especially for 1988, I think most of the special effects in this movie hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
That boxing scene is stupid. He barely touches his chin.
And his whole head flies off.
But again, no blood comes spurting out, nothing. Like this movie
it's very tame. Like, I mean, it's a full-on severed head right? falling into a trash can. And it's just like, tame. Oh, it's a ball, you know.
Yeah, I saw this in 88, and I guess at that point I'd have been 12, maybe going on maybe 13, right in there.
Yeah.
But I think this movie is PG-13, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't see any reason why it would be kicked into the R.
No.
Unless they drop the F-bomb more than twice, which I don't know that they do.
I don't think they did.
Should probably mention I watched this it is available on Pluto TV. There are ads in it, but they don't cut anything out of the film itself. So it is available to watch on Pluto for free. And then you can obviously get it a number of places. It was on Netflix for a while.
Yeah.
And they,
I mean, it's on YouTube, but I think you have to watch that with ads as well.
Yeah, you can watch it.
Oh,
you can watch it here on YouTube.
I think it's also on a new
it's
YouTube
PG-13
type app called Odyssey. I highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah. So again, we are on YouTube, so we will promote that you can watch it here on YouTube.
Yeah, might as well.
And you said it was PG-13, Matt?
Correct.
Yeah, I thought that I read that it was. Some of the other goofy stuff they do. I mentioned the shadow puppet where he doesn't. What's cool about that scene is he does the shadow puppet like T-Rex, and you would think that he was eating the people, but apparently he just shrinks them and puts them in the bag. Like, I don't really know. Oh, and you talked about truly creepy scenes, and we kind of got into that.
Yeah.
The scene where he's doing the ventriloquist thing on Mooney.
Yeah.
I thought that was genuinely creepy and probably the goriest scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And even that's not over the top. But I thought the scene with the like parade, I thought that was creepy.
Yeah, it's just like going through and like hunting people down.
Yeah, and they're like getting all the cocoons and stuff, and the guy hiding under the car. You actually feel a little sense of like, uh-oh, you know.
Yeah,
I thought
this is bad. Which, by the way, watch the behind the scenes features on that. They literally just like took a truck and just added all kinds of shit onto it, and that's just how they made that truck. It was just like, oh, let's
honestly,
this,
man,
this is a trash can lid, but you spray paint it red, and suddenly it's some kind of weird. Oh,
they
camera cut
do
out. That's fun.
Really, really good job of like the way they film their scenes. I mean, it could have looked like the effects could have looked hokey at any moment, or
right.
And I thought the ones that maybe it helps that the movie's Killer Clowns from Outer Space, so some of the effects should look a little hokey, but it worked. It all just really worked in my opinion. Like, I think this, and I like that the plot's kind of loose and the acting's a little silly and over the top because it all kind of plays into it. Again, in my opinion, I mean, you know. So we haven't talked at all about the Terenzi brothers. So let's discuss the Terenzi brothers for a minute. We got these two guys in the movie that are a bit skeezy and bought an ice cream truck with the sole purpose, as far as I can see, as using that to get chicks. To lure them in with ice cream, which is creepy.
To be fair, it worked.
You see, in today's time, that would get you arrested.
Yeah.
Well, they're adult chicks.
True.
It's sort of pseudo kind of works a little bit, but whatever. I got to bring them up because they're going to come important here in a moment in my notes personally.
Yeah.
So a couple other things like I wanted to chat about the effects in this movie. Clownzilla at the end is fucking amazing. It works so well. I guess they had talked about doing like stop motion.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they didn't. It's Charlie Chiodo, right?
Yeah.
He's just in like a rubber clown suit for this. And it's, I think, the only other clown face they molded in the movie that was separate. And they filmed this. I will say one thing. There were a couple times where they were a little like, okay, he looks bigger than he was when he picked the truck up. But that being said, the way they filmed those scenes, they did some miniatures of the truck and the stuff around, and they filmed it in such a way that it just worked. Like, it looked really good to me. The whole scene with Clownzilla, this giant clown, that's clown puppet that comes to life. It worked. I thought it worked really well, actually.
I'm actually kind of surprised whenever that scene came up and he's like walking down the steps that the guy in the costume didn't just trip and fall down the stairs.
Well, he might have.
Yeah, that's true. They probably didn't put that in the movie. So just like a dude in a clown costume falling down the stairs. Like, well, you're not scared anymore. Let's get you back to the top.
So they give him that obviously like kind of slowed down slow motion thing, right? And they filmed it at the right angles. It looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he picks the truck up and throws it, and this is my problem. Can we all fucking agree? There's no way the Terenzi brothers fucking lived.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if they climbed into the... no way they lived, right?
There's
we
no
all
way.
agree that they died. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and we learn at some point, what's his name? Well, anyway, he kind of figures out...
No.
He figures out when he goes into the police station, that the whole Officer Mooney dying scene or whatever, or dead scene. He figures out that the way to kill the clowns is by popping their nose.
Yeah, and then doesn't fucking tell anybody.
Like, no, he doesn't tell anybody.
He literally he kills a clown and then gets on the radio with like the next town over's police department and doesn't say, "Hey guys, there's these clowns, but hey, if you shoot them in the nose, they die." He doesn't. He doesn't tell anybody.
Officer Mike Tobacco.
Yeah, Mike Tobacco.
No, I thought Mike Tobacco was the nerdy guy. He's not the cop, is he?
No, he's the cop.
What's the other guy's name? The guy that's
Dave Hansen.
Okay, Mike Tobacco. All right.
Yeah, that's his name. You give him a name like that, but then they don't actually refer to him like
Played
that.
Played by
ever.
Grant Kramer. Yeah.
Grant. I knew there was a Grant in there.
It's just his real name.
So yeah, no. Well, not only does he not ever tell anybody, it's not like there's this great scene of them going around killing clowns. This never happens.
Yeah, what the hell? Like, that would be the perfect time to do it.
They get in the ice cream mobile and they go around screaming at everybody to get away from them.
Yeah,
which I don't think really does anything.
Yeah, there's like,
hey, by the way,
more clowns.
By the way, were you guys dying to see them use that big old giant mallet on somebody?
Yes.
Maybe not the little girl.
But
I was waiting
if you have to, then
I was totally expecting it.
Yeah.
And by the way, that one scene with the creepy clown staring at that little girl, that was freaking creepy.
Oh, that was creepy. That was a little creepy.
That was a different level of
weird
creepy.
pedo vibe.
Change the music and stuff around, and that scene would have been genuinely scary. Like,
just
that could have been
under the big top and like a minor key, and then like half speed. just like
darken it up a little, put some shadow on his face. And you have
it just becomes extra creepy, right?
And you have Pennywise in the sewer.
Yeah,
that's what you have.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But I was expecting that mallet to come back at some point,
Yeah.
but we didn't get to see it.
Was Chekhov's mallet.
Yeah,
they showed it in scene 1, but didn't use it in scene 3.
I didn't see it,
or act 3 rather.
Well, they did that a lot, though. I mean, the popcorn came back, but again, well, that's not true. The popping of the nose does come back. It is kind of our final scene, but I guess I expected it more. Well, if you think about like Mars Attack.
Yeah, it kind of became like he was the host, and it took out all the rest of them, right? Like when they pop Clownzilla's nose, I don't like the whole thing takes off and just
they don't really explain what blew the ship up. I guess he blew the ship up when he exploded.
It was like a hive mind type of situation, I think.
So from what I'd read, they originally Officer Mike Tobacco dies in the end of the movie.
Mike Tobacco.
And they did test audiences, and they did not like it at all that he died. So they come up with the clown car scene, which again is over the top ridiculous. Yeah. But that's this movie, right? So we bought it and we were okay with it. Like it was the clown car falls out of nowhere and they come crawling back out of it, and happy endings all around, right? So. I mean, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. One thing I think we definitely need to bring up, though, is the music for this film, because it works really, really, really well with the movie itself. John Mazzari scored the film. Does a great job. The score fits really well, I think, throughout the entire movie. But what we got to talk about is the song "Killer Klowns," which we just talked about on episode 77 of the podcast. If you want to go over and check that out, because we did best 80s movie anthems, and the song Killer Klowns made Matt's list. And rightly so. It fits really well, and it's perfect. Here's the weird thing about it. It's performed by the band The Dickies and released on their album Killer Klowns From Outer Space, also from 1988. It was composed by their frontman, Leonard Phillips, but he wrote the song having never seen the film, and yet it fits so well. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they gave him a basic idea of what he was writing for, but that music might be as iconic as the movie itself.
Yeah,
so it's a great theme song. The movie starts off with it; it works really, really well. So the music deserves a nod too. Honestly, a lot about this movie, in my opinion, deserves just some attention. I know it's a cult classic now. I know that. But.
It's cool that a lot more people are becoming, aware of it. But as I've talked about on the show, this is a movie that I've honestly seen probably more than any other movie. I couldn't tell you character names because I don't usually remember that type of thing. But I remember all the different, the clown scenes that pop up because, like I said, as I've said in the past, this was the movie that whenever we would go, my sister and I would go over to my grandmother's house when she was living in a retirement home. It was one of the few movies that Channel 62, back in the 1990s, it was a new channel in Kansas City, and they had a Saturday afternoon movie, and every Saturday around noon o'clock, I guess you could say, they would play Killer Klowns From Outer Space. So we would go over, and my dad and my stepmom would go in the other room, go in the kitchen and talk with my grandmother, and she would just say, "Oh, go watch the clown movie. Go watch the clown movie." So we would hang out and, lay on the floor and watch Killer Klowns From Outer Space every weekend. Because it was just literally one of the few movies that they actually showed. So it was just kind of always on. And then,
did your grandmother ever see the clown movie?
I don't know. I don't know if she ever watched it or if she was just like, "Oh, there's a movie about clowns on." That's not at all how she sounds, but that's just my general old lady voice.
Your grandma sounded like, "Oh, there's a movie about clowns.
It's a movie about the clowns."
It's about the little clowns, Maddie.
My grandmother had a nice Brooklyn accent, even
right.
being nowhere near from Brooklyn.
Nowhere from Brooklyn. But.
Almost sound like Cyndi Lauper in the Cosmetics commercial.
Hey, your Cyndi Lauper impression on the last episode
Oh,
of the podcast
so fun.
was fantastic. You're
I crack myself up when I listen back to it.
want to have fun, but they can't have fun
They have
if
just
they've got
skins.
itchy skin. So,
Cyndi Lauper, come on the show. We need to talk.
Yeah, you need
Right.
to come on the show and school our man Stewie. So, for those of you who don't listen to the podcast, you should go check out the podcast. But it's the three of us for the most part, and then occasionally we have our guy Stewie sit in, or our guy Spanky sit in. Yeah, his name's Spanky. It's not really Spanky. I mean, it's not his name.
No, that's not his Christian name.
Yeah.
That didn't matter. But yes, his name is Spanky.
Government
It's not.
name, yeah. It's on his
Anyway, so
license.
on the last episode, the one we were just talking about, episode 77, the best 80s movies anthems, Good Enough by Cyndi Lauper gets brought up, and we love Stewie, but he is Stewie. And he's like, didn't Cyndi Lauper get hit by a weird ailment?
She fell victim to an ailment.
Matt and I are like, you mean like eczema? And we it's psoriasis, but Matt's like, no, man, she's not like dying. She just Matt's like, we're like, she just gets like, itchy skin. And Matt does this. Girls just want to have fun, but they can't when they've got itchy skin. And that's the kind of entertainment, that and a lot of cussing that you can check out on our podcast.
Yeah,
we definitely show off our true colors.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
A lot of that.
Get that slide whistle out.
Jeez.
There's a lot of that.
If you like this, click that QR code right there, or follow us on any of the social media right there. Yeah.
There you go.
And you get to hear more of that slide whistle.
Yeah. Hey.
Sometimes as the backing track for whatever song we're singing. So. Kevin definitely plays the hits.
The questions have come up, especially recently, because this movie, like I said, huge cult following. People love this film. I think all three of us would agree. We recommend it.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't really do that, and we should have done that for the people who don't know what this is, and maybe we'll put a little something up before this. In fact, we're going to do that.
Okay.
But Twisted Kid, we're going to do a little thing, and we'll explain what this is. We do a podcast that's mostly deals with the 80s and 90s, but a little bit of other stuff as well. And a lot of it centers around music, but we do venture into other topics. But we got to talking on the show about some of the weirder films that we watched in our youth that made us the twisted kids that we became. And we've done some of those audio format on the show, and we thought it'd be fun to kind of bring some of it into video format here in the exciting world of YouTube, because we've conquered the world of podcasting.
Yep.
But you should still go subscribe.
Conquered it.
And and that's what we kind of decided to do the show on. We want to talk about weird ass movies from our childhood that we remember, and so we each bring them in turn, and sometimes we have guests on and they bring a film. So we have some of those on the past episodes. You can go back and listen to the audio version. So with you bringing it back around, we'll kind of close out the talk of the movie here with a few more things. We did say, like I said, they don't really ever get real heavy into the topic of why they're here. Were they here just to take over? Were they here to feed off of us? Also, why is oh God, what's her name? Deborah? Is she the main
Debbie?
girl?
Yeah.
We're gonna say yes.
Yeah. Sure.
How come she's the one that gets spared? They don't fucking turn her into cotton candy. They don't.
Yeah, they
They
put her in a
don't
Just put her in a
balloon.
bubble. Yeah.
They put her in a balloon,
Yeah.
and they take her back to the ship. And I'm convinced it's because they want to use her as cattle, so they can fly off and make her create other babies and drink their gelatin blood, which apparently
It's dark, but sure. Yeah.
might be why they're here.
Yeah.
Or was that just a weird one-off scene? We don't really know, and it
Hmm.
doesn't really matter.
I think somebody gave them a challenge of like, find a way to put a person in a balloon. Go make the effect happen, and then
Done
they
and
did
done.
it. Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
We also I love the fact that when they're searching for him going into town, they make a balloon animal.
Oh, the
dog
dog to hunt them down. I love that.
Let it sniff things out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty great too. So cult following, but no sequel, right?
Yeah.
They never did a sequel. I guess they've been talking about it since like
Although
they filmed this.
They just released a video game,
Well, I
like
don't
a
think
very high
it's
quality video
about
game.
to come out. I think. Did it come out?
I think it's out. The trailer's at least out for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the game is
Really?
about to
Yeah.
release. Yeah.
And I think it's Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights just did
Yeah.
the haunted houses of Killer Klowns From Outer Space.
And they had the actual ice cream truck there,
Yep.
from what I read. Yeah.
Was it Chiodo Brothers in there as well? Or?
I've actually seen video where the Chiodo Brothers themselves were there signing autographs before people went into the haunted house.
So I guess Stephen Chiodo has been saying for years that they have ideas for sequels. I know they had talked about a sequel for a while where Mike Tobacco was now the town drunk and nobody believed him about the clowns. And they just dismissed him.
It's the gritty,
And-
hard R-rated reboot of Killer Klowns From Outer Space.
Yeah, and they talked about that for a while. I guess they have multiples. He said he wanted to do multiple films with like where they would follow different characters from the movie. They would bring them back. And then he'd also talked about a TV series, things like that. So here's the maybe good, maybe not so great thing. Sci-Fi, back in 2018, Sci-Fi Channel apparently has obtained the rights or trying to obtain the rights to do either a movie or a series. I don't know how that could go. Could go okay, I guess. The problem is they're not known for backing things with a lot of money, and I don't know that they would need a ton of money, but the effects are what would make this important.
Yeah.
So if the Chiodo Brothers weren't doing it, then I don't know.
Listening to the MixTape Podcast makes you a total badass. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
All right, and we are back from a word from our sponsors. BustedTees.com.
That was an abrupt cut, man.
Yes,
Me
it
and Kev were like, so yes, we do a actual podcast. And by the way, thanks everybody who did come out and watch this first episode of this. We will get better.
Yeah.
There are obviously some. It took us a while. We'd been talking about it on the show to get this to launch anyway. Matt's done a great job so far. Matt has handled all the video stuff that you see going on, all the cool stuff in the backgrounds and everything. That's all been on Matt for the most part. Technical glitches and oh my god, and everything aside, we finally decided we were going to launch. We knew there'd be some glitches, and much like the podcast proper, which is about to go into its 4th season, my friends. We figured we'd learn
we have
as we
seasons, guys.
Yeah, we're about to go into season 4 of the podcast, and it has gotten better and better with each season, and this will too.
And by the way, we didn't really even discuss it too thoroughly. We've passed 75 episodes of the podcast, so there's plenty to go back and listen to.
77 episodes.
If you're brave.
By the way, that's 77 episodes, not counting the Twisted Kids that we have done over.
True. Yep.
So there's that as well. So I haven't even discussed this with the guys, but it's okay because I'm pretty sure it's actually my turn to pick a movie. I could be wrong about that. Is it my turn to pick a movie or is it Kev's turn?
I don't think Kevin's ever picked a movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's my turn to pick a movie.
It's Kevin's turn to pick a movie, and he's going to pick the one that you are about to talk about.
Do you have a movie in mind? Because I think we should announce here on the show what our next one will be. And that way the folks at home can try to watch it with us and we can come back and do the next one. So we have a list of a bunch of different movies we've discussed watching here for Twisted Kid. Kev, do you have one in mind that you would like to be our next film?
Oh, damn. I don't really. Maybe Gremlins 2. That would be.
Oh,
great.
hell yes.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Let's do Gremlins 2.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
let's go for
Gremlins 2.
There you go.
Shit,
The
now I got to
next
buy
movie-
a fucking gremlin to put in the background. I'll do it.
You don't have a gremlin? You have a mogwai.
Dude, we have fucking mogwais everywhere in this house. Actually, no, we do.
Add some
We have a
water on one
gremlin
of
from
them.
Gremlins 2 in a Funko Pop form.
Dumbass, just pour some water on it.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, no, that'll
dump
multiply.
it.
Give it some
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just waterboard that little motherfucker. Just go for it.
I'm 100% on board with Gremlins 2, man. I love that movie so much. So
Yep.
you heard it here. The next film we're going to be talking about will be Gremlins 2. That'll be Kev's
Yes.
choice. We've done a bunch of episodes. What happened inevitably, I picked the first one, and then we had guests on the show that kind of helped determine the next few.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like we interviewed people that helped determine the next few movies we did.
Stuart
And then
Pankin, we talked about Sam and Josh and Sam.
No,
Josh.
That was Steven Tobolowsky.
Steven Tobolowsky.
Stuart
Pankin was the dirt bike kid. Yeah.
And we
first
then
one we did was
had,
The Gate with Patrick from Scream Queens.
And that was no Looker with Patrick.
Oh, that's right, Looker with Patrick. Yeah.
The Gate was my first choice. Then we had Patrick on, and we did Looker. Patrick from Scream Queens podcast, Scream Queens with a Z. Then we had the two guests on. We had Stuart Pankin on, and we did Dirt Bike Kid, and then we had Steven Tobolowsky, and we did Josh and Sam, and then God, I don't even know.
Which, by the way, I know when Connie hears or sees this, she's gonna know exactly why I confused the name of the movie as Sam and something else. So she's gonna know exactly why.
We also did Fuzz Bucket, who actually had John.
That was Matt pick. Yeah, that was
Matt.
That was an early Matt pick. We kind of had to do it.
It was a classic one. I think I was just a guest host at that point in time.
So you were. That might have been one of our really early ones.
Yep. So. That's right. Yeah.
That being said, we do have the podcast. You guys should go check it out. We are going to be doing more stuff here on YouTube as well. The podcast is available on Spotify. It's on Pandora, Apple, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. You can write us. We are your MixTape Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know topics you would like us to talk about. Let us know about you. We would love to know about you. You can leave us a voicemail. We have a voicemail line. It is 513-HERAD77. That is 513-437-2377. Nice. There you go. It's backwards, but that's our number right there. You can call us and leave a voicemail. Like we said, please follow us over on Mastodon. It is very similar to Twitter. We are on Facebook. You see all those things scrolling across the top.
Yeah.
We are on TikTok. You can see that right now. We do TikTok videos, Instagram, Twitter. As of right now, we are on Twitter
until it completely implodes upon itself.
Which might be by the end of the year.
Yeah, or a week. Who
knows? Over to Mastodon.
Yeah.
Mastodon is very similar to Twitter, and a ton of people are already over there. Facebook, we are on Tapeworms, fans of the MixTape Podcast. You can come over there and join us there. And, of course, Instagram, which is right there on the screen for you, right there.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of you guys. We ask that you please like and subscribe here and go over and subscribe to the podcast. And please share everything. We would really appreciate that. Guys, do you have any closing thoughts before we finish this bad boy up?
Yeah, I'm good.
This is how every episode of the fucking podcast is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something to look forward to.
Exactly.
You guys have any closing thoughts? No, none.
No. I'm good.
Yeah, I think we said what we needed to say.
Yeah.
Well, we close out every episode of the podcast a certain way, and there's been much discussion about how we should close out this show. We've tried a few things, but I think in the end, we should just say what we say with the podcast, only add a little something. And I think that, as always, guys, remember to stay twisted and stay awesome.
All right. And cut.